In this video, we're going to be making the same Photoshop edit in 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and an unlimited amount of time. So I started off by making a sketch of what I wanted all of my photos to be based off of. I changed it up a little bit from time to time, but this is what I stuck to as like a base. Now we're going to put the timer on for 5 minutes and get started. We added in this sketch right here for a base, as well as putting in this like first rock in the foreground. After that, we just added in that little sky, the space sky, and started on the island, which looks horrible. We then added in another castle, but we're only using the rock of the castle for this. So we added in the actual castle right behind that, just like this, and put it behind that rock layer. Then we added in the moon. This doesn't look very great, I'm not gonna lie. We're not gonna have time to do anything. So I added in these asteroids just like this and tilted them to find the place where they kinda look decent. I added in our main subject and oh, this is what we've got, dude. This isn't good at all, if I'm being honest, at all. Please just get this off my screen so I don't have to look at it any longer. So for the 30-minute edit, I feel like I can add a little bit more into it. However, I still don't think it's gonna be very good, but let's try it anyway. So as I put on the 30-minute timer, I realized that this was going to be a lot easier to work with. I'm still working with the same composition and same idea of the first edit, just by adding in this castle like behind these floating rocks, I guess. I made the castle look even taller by duplicating the other castle and putting it on top of itself. And I added in this moon right at the top and darkened everything to make it kind of match, but I don't really know if it worked. Either way, I started adding this rock in the foreground as well as adding our little character in just like this, putting the right shadows and the right highlights on it to make him look like he's actually in the scene. Then I added some glow up to the moon just like this to add some light source. So I was adding those same asteroids in the same position I did in the 5-minute one, but this time I can actually work on it and make them look kind of decent. I actually took a bunch of the asteroids out because I didn't want it to seem too cluttered, I guess. And then I added a big asteroid in out of nowhere. I couldn't really figure out where to put it, but I just put it on the side right here and started on some highlights in the castle. This obviously takes the longest out of everything I did, which cost most of my time in this edit actually, just putting on these highlights, trying to make them look decently good. But this is the part I realized, wow, this is a big difference from what I did in the 5-minute one, right? So then I added like this exposure layer, and it just made everything in the highlights a little brighter, which just gave it this nice actually highlighted effect. I tried to do the same thing with the rocks, but that didn't look very good at all in the end, so like, whatever. I then added the same highlights to the actual astronaut, just like this, putting it on his head and his backpack, everywhere I could see that like I think the light would touch. So right now we're about done. We just added this glow in the background and the 30 minutes is up. This is the final product for the 30-minute edit, which I actually kind of like. I like the blue tone. It's kind of dark, a little contrasty, but I actually end up liking the final edit. So yeah. Do you guys want to win $50 worth of amazing stock photos? Well, with the help of photomanipulation.com, I'm hosting a Photoshop challenge that has amazing prizes for the top 3 winners. All you have to do is create an edit that is fantasy themed. No other rules. You have complete freedom. To submit your work, post it on Instagram with the hashtag MayDesignsChallenge or email it to maydesigns831@gmail.com if you're not able to post it on Instagram. The deadline to send in your artwork will be June 12th. If you need a starting place for stock photos, then you can try out photomanipulations.com free stock image pack, which will be linked in the description. Again, the top 3 winners will receive a $50 coupon that you can use on photomanipulation.com's website in order to buy any stock image pack that you would like. No matter your skill level, you can compete in this Photoshop challenge, since the ratings will be based off of these scales: originality, appeal, artisticness, and execution. I wish you all luck, and I hope to see all your awesome artworks in the future. And thank you again to photomanipulation.com for providing the prizes and stock photos for this challenge. So for the unlimited time one, I felt that I had a lot more I could change with it, so I took the original composition that I had before and I changed it up a little bit just to make it a little more dynamic, I guess. I even added a couple space effects in to make it look a little more magical and kind of spooky in a way. So at the beginning, I realized I was going to have to make this one more dramatic and kind of less playful and majestic, I guess. But that still meant adding in that same rock that I used for all the other images, just with a little bit more detail and precision this time. I then again added the castle and the rock in and put it with the other rock. It still doesn't look amazing at the beginning, at least. At the end it actually does look pretty decent and kind of realistic. Nevertheless, I put in that same castle that we used for all the other images, and I actually made it match the colors a little bit better this time to where it actually kind of looks like it's there instead of just some random stock images I put together. I even added the moons in different places this time, just like this. In the middle and the top, I feel like it just adds a nice little hierarchy and guides your eyes up the image. And usually I wait till the end to do this, but I decided to add some glow and some highlights in just to establish a base at the very beginning, and I think it's a good idea. It allows me to just judge how bright all the other highlights should be just based off of these. I decided to add these like weird Greek letter things. They aren't even Greek letters if I'm being honest, they're just random things that I wrote down. But I don't know, it looks pretty good in the end. I added some glow to them and I kind of like it. And for these asteroids, which take so long because I have to individually shadow them and highlight them, I just put in a bunch in the same places that I wanted them to be at. I cut out a lot of them because it was just too clustered in a lot of parts. Then I started adding down that foreground rock right here. I made it blue and darker, obviously, and it didn't really look good before, so I was trying to find a nice balance, and I think the way to do that was by making this path. I guess my thought process here was just like, there needs to be a way to get to the island, and at this moment there wasn't, so I just added this nice little rock path and made them kind of bluey green, as well as adding those same highlights like I did onto the other things. Then I added in our main character, which I actually made a lot smaller this time just to emphasize that huge scale of the castle. Then I took a lot of time adding shadows to him because it doesn't really fit obviously right now, but like it didn't look very good. I don't know if it's just a stock image I chose, but even in the end product, I really don't like how it ended. Then I added some nice little highlights to him, which did make it look a lot better. It just made it look less flat, I guess you could say. And then came adding all the highlights to all the freaking asteroids. Goodness gracious, there were so many, and this took a long time. About 30 minutes, I'd say, to add all of these onto it and make them actually look decent. I mean, you can add the color into them, but I also need them a little brighter, so I have to add like this exposure layer to all of them as well. But it does look pretty good in the end. I then took this sick space effect that I found just on Google and I put it behind the castle, and I just put it on screen and masked out the parts that I didn't need it, and it looked so good in the end, so like I'm very, very happy with that. I then added some like exposure behind it to make it even look brighter, and wow, it looks so good, as well with these like space effects on the moon. I don't even know what they're supposed to be, but they look really good. So like I kept them and kind of looks like menacing, I guess that's a way to put it. I then put some more highlights on the rocks. It makes everything come together and it just makes everything look more cohesive, I guess. As well as making these highlights on the astronaut a little bit brighter, everything just looks a little bit better. As some final effects, I added in a nice little camera raw filter and a couple blue solid color fill layers just to add some more atmosphere. And this is what we've got. Wow, I really, really like this. It's so menacing, but like majestic at the same time. You can tell a huge difference between the 5-minute one and the unlimited one. I did end up spending about 2.5 to 3 hours on the unlimited one, and I think it shows. Once again, if you guys want to win $50 in my Photoshop challenge, you have to submit it by June 12th. These prizes are provided by photomanipulation.com, which I heavily recommend for all your Photoshop stock images and needs.